So Keenan to be like, yo, let's go to White Castle since we around once.
Ew.
He loves White Castle.
Oh my God.
I love
I
White
hate
Castle
White.
too.
No, I've never liked it. My stepdad would buy the frozen ones.
Mhm.
Ugh, I don't even like the smell. And they just literally, if you leave it on a grill too long, they're gonna just turn into air.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. I don't even know what the meat. It's not meat. It's just like little fat slabs. Fat slabs on on some bread, some
They
thick.
always had the holes in their patties for some reason. I love
Ugh.
White Castle though.
People in Detroit, when I living in Detroit,
Yeah.
they hitting a White Castle.
Oh man, yes. They be open late.
That and Coney Island.
Man.
I can't eat shit. Hello and welcome back to season 2 of I Can't Eat Shit podcast. I'm your host, actress, comedian Shondalia White. And yeah, people, I can't eat shit, and of course the shit is annoying. I started I Can't Eat Shit podcast because I was secretly ill for many years. People were asking me a lot of questions. So now I'm healed and I'm ready to talk about it. But for season 2, I'm bringing some of my friends and some experts in to talk with me about all this stuff. And my first guest is my good friend, comedian, actor, content creator, all around dope ass guy, Tony Baker. And we are going to be talking about lifestyle changes and resetting routines. So let's get into it. Hi, Tony. How are you?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm so happy to have you on my podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, just to let everyone know, I've been knowing Tony for a very long time, and it's been almost like 10, 11 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long time. So Tony and I met doing stand-up comedy, and we also, you've been in a ton of my sketches, and you're always in some of my projects. I really, all my crazy little ideas, Tony be down for me, and you don't know how much it means to me. You like a rider.
I'd be like, all right, okay.
Yes, I'm always so excited to have you on with me. So I wanted to have you on because I saw you talking about some things about food, and you get like really passionate about everything. And I was like, ooh, Tony passionate about this. Maybe he'll do the podcast.
Yeah. Very passionate about the food.
Oh yeah.
We out here.
We out here. And he's been talking about a lot of food things on his Verbal Cardio podcast. But specifically, the reason I want to have you on is because I saw the video where you were talking about lifestyle changes and not just diet changes. And I thought that was really interesting. So the first thing I wanted to just go right in and let's get into that is what prompted that initial visit to have the blood work done? Because you said you had blood work done, and one of the technicians, I'm assuming, told you that, oh no, it's not a diet change, it's a lifestyle change. So what started that whole thing?
I reached a point where I was just like, man, I feel like I want to lose some weight. Like, when I got weighed going there, I was 272 at the time. And I was like, man, I didn't know I was that heavy because I had been avoiding the scale. Like, you lie to yourself about where you're at as far as like your weight and your health. You'd be like, no, it's just this, or I weigh this. So I went in there. I went to this place called Terra Rosa. This was in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so they did my blood work. They weighed me. They gave me the full workup. And I can't remember a specific thing that made me go right then and there. But I just knew, because I was eating everything back then. I was just eating whatever. And I call it the Tony Bacon days. Of just like, I'm eating yogurt, I'm eating sweets, I'm eating large portions of everything. The only thing I wasn't eating then was pork, because I gave up pork in like 91.
Okay.
So this was like 2003. And so once they did the full workup, my bad cholesterol was high. And so they showed me how to start food journaling, and they gave me parameters to stay within. So I had to be within 1,650 to 1,800 calories a day. I couldn't eat anything over 10 grams of sugar per serving. And my fat had to be between 30 and 40 grams of fat a day. And
Okay.
so, and they showed me that, my plate size needed to be smaller, um, and all of that. So I was just looking at food differently. Now I'm reading the back of, packaged foods and looking at the nutrition facts. And I lost a lot of weight doing that. I went from like 272 to 217 in like 6 months.
Wow. I was just about to say, how long did it take you? It took 6 months. That's actually pretty fast.
Yeah, it was like that first month I lost 27 pounds, and then the weight loss kind of just gradually slowed down, but I went all the way down to 217.
Dang.
Yeah.
And so, what was your goal?
My goal was to actually, what I feel like I never set like a weight goal then. It was just like, because I was uncertain if it was going to work. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, does this really matter? You know what I mean? And I remember too, they also prescribed me with like an appetite suppressant when they got me on this program. But the side effect is, I noticed that my penis wasn't working. So I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
wait, from the food?
from the appetite suppressant
Oh,
medication.
okay, okay.
So I noticed, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna have this.
You like, we gotta have the cigs.
We gotta have the sex. I was married at the time too. I was like, nah, man, we're not doing this. And
Oh,
so I quit
wow.
taking the appetite suppressant right away, and I was just, just using discipline. And so yeah, once I got down to that 217, I was like, wow, this really worked. So ever since then, I still stick to that. I still primarily stick to. I don't eat anything over 10 grams of added sugar per serving. I try to avoid that as much as possible. Occasionally, I'll splurge, and I look at the nutrition facts and all of that. And so, like even now, I think I'm like 208 now, so I'm even lighter than I was in
Back then.
2004. So
Yeah.
I've probably been like lately the lightest I've ever been since I was in middle school.
Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. I'm definitely not my middle school weight. I was definitely smaller, but
Yeah.
I'm naturally thin.
Right.
And when I was ill, and I talk about, well, I didn't talk about my weight in this podcast,
Hmm.
but I'll talk about it in this episode since we talking about weight. But
Yeah.
when I was ill, I actually did gain a lot of weight,
Yeah.
and people didn't know I was ill.
Hmm.
And I was like way heavy, almost like for my body frame, I was
Right.
almost obese actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I was like about 150.
Wow.
And I'm 130 now, and
Mhm.
I'm only 5'6". I look taller than what I am.
Oh, got you. Okay.
So it was actually too much on my body.
Yeah.
And I had never been that heavy before. And I was like, I mean, it looked good.
Yeah.
It didn't look bad. I was thick. Your girl was thick. I had the 33 jugs and I had the double D. Well, I said I had the double D jugs and everything. I was
Yeah.
out here. I was looking voluptuous. So when I lost weight, people actually were like, "What's wrong?" Because especially in the comedy community, because
Right.
they were so used to seeing me actually a little heavier.
Yeah. I don't
And
remember you looking heavier
I,
though.
I know I was though. This was like in about 2000, right before the pandemic. It was like 2018.
I must not.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't see you around during that time.
No, you did, but you know
Oh,
what?
did
I
you?
When we do comedy, I wear a lot of heavy clothes.
Oh, got you.
I
Got you.
layer up, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't have really noticed. But when
Yeah.
I went to Spain and I put on my nice little dress and stuff, I
Yeah.
was like plat out, and I was like, oh, okay. It stood out in a picture, and then my husband said something. He was like, "Dang, you." And that's when I knew. I was like, "Oh, your girl is thick," and I'm like. So yeah, and it wasn't from food. It was just like my stomach. I was like ill, and I guess I was
Wow.
just packing on the weight. So yeah, it was not necessarily healthy for me. So
Got
once
you.
I started working out and getting my diet and
Hmm.
my stomach together,
Yeah.
that's when I was able to kind of drop back down. So yeah, but that's so funny.
You know what's interesting about that? A lot of times we think about like if somebody's not doing well on the health tip, you think about them losing weight. It's
Yeah.
rare that you hear about people actually gaining it when they're
Yeah.
not doing
When
well.
they're
Of
not
course,
doing well.
a bad diet is going to lead to weight gain and health problems down the line. But in your case, where you're just naturally a certain frame, you gaining the weight is just like, wait a minute, something's going on
Something
in
off.
the health tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, one of the things that made me notice it too was that same year when I was the heaviest, and then I couldn't keep food down.
Mm.
I was just like constantly vomiting and
Oh
stuff.
wow. Yeah.
And I was like, something's wrong.
Wow.
Like, it's not, they keep trying to give me antibiotics. That's definitely, they give you antibiotics for anything.
Right. Right.
I'm surprised they didn't give you that for the weight loss.
Exactly. Your cholesterol high, man. Give us some antibiotics.
You're right. Go ahead and give
Mhm.
us some antibiotics. That's like the solution for everything. And I was like,
Everything.
this
They,
is not
they be
it.
like, you stressed and antibiotics. That's all they talk about when you go up in there.
Yeah. So wait, what was causing your high cholesterol then?
I was eating a lot of I assume that it was like when I think back to how I was eating then, I was a yogurt fiend. When I
Mm.
tell you like
And this is like regular milk because you're vegan now, right? Plant based or
I'm mostly vegan. I'm not 100%, but I'm 100% vegetarian.
okay, 100% vegetarian.
Yes.
So it was like regular whole milk
Yeah, this is regular.
yogurt.
This was vegan. I didn't even know what vegan was back.
Okay.
So this was like I've always loved yogurt, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about I'm not talking about the healthy yogurts that they got now. I'm talking about Yoplait, Dannon, fruit at the bottom, the
Oh, super
Yoplait mix,
sugary.
super sugared out. And when they were going on sale, 10 for $1, your boy was all over them. So I'm
I'm
like,
glad you still know the sale price.
oh hell, man, listen. They had the custard style 10 for $1. I was like, man, I'm loading up. I'm just like tearing it down. And like, so yogurt was one of my favorite things to eat. I always loved eggs. So it'd be omelets, scrambled eggs. I could have that every day. So, eggs got a lot of cholesterol. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm having massive amounts of eggs. There was a point in time, this was like a couple years earlier, I was having the McDonald's breakfast every morning,
Oh,
at work. I'm doing
oh,
the eggs, the egg McMuffins, the
those are good.
pancakes. I'm going in. And so I just think it was a accumulation of that, like
Mm-hmm.
massive amounts of eggs, just eating poorly, massive amounts of sugar. So my cholesterol was like, bruh,
What are you doing,
yeah, what
honey?
you doing, though? And so I was just not mindful of nutrition like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? I knew about diets and stuff, but it was like I wasn't paying it any mind. And so
What did they tell you would happen if you didn't get your cholesterol under control? Do you remember that?
I don't remember them telling me anything. They didn't have to. Like I knew like, oh, I can't have no bad cholesterol. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because you got the bad cholesterol and the good cholesterol, that's what they
Mm-hmm.
call them. And so, my bad was high, and so I was like, high cholesterol, like that's all I need to hear. Because I'm the type of person once I go to a healthcare place, I follow directions. I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those patients that be in there acting like I know more than them. Just because I've been googling some shit or like be like, actually, nah. I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, yes. Yes. I might look up medicines later and their side effects, but as far as like one of those patients that come in there and just disregard everything they say, it's like, what are you doing? And
Why'd you even
so,
come?
yeah. So
Right?
I'll be
If you wasn't
following
gonna
directions.
believe me,
Yeah.
why you come?
Why you here? And
I mean, to
so
be fair though, sometimes you can tell some doctors just don't care. They
they
just there
don't
getting a
care, but
check.
they don't give you anything. You can tell when you're getting like you can tell when you're just getting like general information from a
Mm-hmm.
doctor. Like, oh, it's this. And then you be like, no, it's this, and this that I'm feeling. It's like, oh, okay. So sometimes you got to beat them over the head with what's really going on. And so since this was a pretty easy case for me, it wasn't like I had to describe pain or like describe anything. It was like your blood work says your cholesterol is high, And I knew I was eating bullshit, so there was nothing to argue.
Yeah, you
And
just
so
listened.
I was just like Nuff said. And so I
The
was just,
only thing I would say that caused me to have high cholesterol, I did
mm,
have high cholesterol at one point. It was actually coconut oil. I was cooking with coconut oil all the time. I mean,
mm,
all the time.
yeah.
And I started feeling really weird. And my best friend, one of my best friends is a doctor, and he's like, "Well, tell me what you were eating." He's like, "Shondalia, you can't use coconut oil on everything." And I was like, "You can't?" I thought it was healthy.
Yeah.
You remember when everybody, you remember when coconut oil was like the
Yes.
thing?
People was putting it on their skin. They was
I
putting
put
it
it on my
on everything.
skin. I was putting every pore that I could that exists on my body. You know what I mean?
And you cooking with it.
I was cooking with it. It was
You
bad.
was a
It was
coconut
bad.
walking around here.
Yep, literally a coconut. I mean, I was smelling good.
Yeah. Coconut be like, okay, coconut. But man, you was oily.
I was oily.
You was
I was
oily.
like literally nothing but oil. And kind of like, well, just for the people that are listening and watching, what Tony said earlier, where coconut oil is one of those things where you can have like the good cholesterol and the bad, and you cannot break down the coconut oil properly when you have a
Mm,
lot of it. So that's what makes it a bad cholesterol. You talk about you're like very passionate about the weight loss and the diet, and you said that you like holding your friends accountable.
mhm.
Why is that so important for you to hold your friends accountable specifically?
Because like once you tell me like, all right, I want to lose weight or I want to eat better, I'm gonna hold you to it. You told me, you told the world, like, listen, I want to lose weight. And I'm like, all right, I got you. And so I think that accountability, a big part of like my personal journey was when I was at my heaviest, nobody was holding me accountable.
Mm.
Nobody was on me. Nobody had their foot on my neck. It was just whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just like I remember when I found out I was 272. I looked at my wife and I was like, why you got me out here like this? And she was slim and was just like, how you just have me out here 272? And so um I just believe that you should hold your loved ones accountable if they want to achieve something. Like, don't let them make excuses, don't let them slough off, or just like, and I know for a fact that one is not easy. So you need that encouragement. Sometimes you need that extra push or that person watching you and keeping you in line, because we can, like I said, we can lie to ourselves. We can be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a cheat day, and now you got 3 cheat days in the week. Oh, it's my birthday. Oh, it's my mom's birthday. Oh, it's Mother's Day. It's like you keep
Mm-hmm.
adding on
The
all these
holidays, we got
the
holidays almost
holidays.
every month.
We got a promotion at work. You can always find something to celebrate. And now you having cheat days again. And then you start lying to yourself and lying about your own progress. And then you getting on the scale and being like, and then you start avoiding the scale and just being like, no, I still feel the same. I'm doing it. And so I feel like when somebody holding you accountable, it just gives you that extra push. And like they gonna annoy you, be like, hey man, you always breathing down my neck. It's like, so and so
So,
so
what did your wife eventually hold you accountable, or did she like you being Big Papa?
she didn't care. So
Yeah,
it was
she was.
just
I was like, she probably ain't saying that because she was like you being Big Papa. She like, I'm good with Big Papa.
she was good with that, but I wasn't. I was
Yeah,
like, listen, I'm not gonna be out here like this, because I didn't like what I saw when I looked in the mirror.
I got you.
And so and I'm a firm believer in you gotta be happy with yourself before you can, nothing else really matters if you're not happy with yourself. And so I just believe in that. If you tell me, yo, Tone, man, I want to lose some weight, I'm gonna help you do it. I'm gonna make sure you're not eating out all the time. You're not eating the greasy fried foods. I'm gonna be like, yo, why you getting the cookies if we doing
Why you
this?
getting the cookies?
Yeah, it's like, what we doing? And so yeah, and I just believe in accountability on all fronts, not only diet, but I just feel like we got to hold ourselves accountable and others.
share everything on
Yeah.
your podcast. But you share a lot about your eating and cravings and your gym time and your walking through the neighborhood and
Mhm.
all those different things. Do you feel that sharing your journey and showing how it does that help you stay accountable, since you don't do you necessarily have someone holding you accountable? I'm assuming you hold yourself accountable.
Right.
And but does that help you by sharing with others?
100%. Because now it's like, all right, I told everybody I'm doing this. I have to do it now. Because if not, if I just do it within self, I could just make a deal with myself. All right, we'll get around to it, or we'll slack off this day, or we won't do it this day. So I feel like when I say it out loud, now there's somebody holding me accountable. It's the people that I said it to, whoever's watching, and so now it's like, man, I got to do what I said I was going to do, and so that helps me a lot by saying it out loud in public on whatever platform. All right, y'all, I'm doing this for this. So then now, because I don't want somebody coming up like, hey, man, you said you was doing this for this. And I was like,
Yeah.
you right. And
Yeah,
so,
I don't share as much as you, but well,
yeah.
this is like the most I've ever shared anything
Uh-huh.
with my podcast,
Yeah.
but I do hold myself accountable. I do find ways to hold myself accountable, and if I don't feel like I will, I don't like sharing it. So I think that's a
Mhm.
good point,
Mhm.
that if I think I might slack off, cuz I don't like letting people down
Yeah.
in that way, and I hold myself to a specific standard.
Uh-huh.
So I agree, where if I share it, then I'm holding myself to it, where
Yeah.
it's like, I already said we doing this, so let's hit it.
That's that extra push because,
Mhm.
like you said, you gonna forgive yourself. You gonna forgive yourself. You gonna be like, man,
Mhm.
you all right, Shondalia. I know. You can be talking to yourself. But when it's that outside, like that person, like you said, you're like, oh, I did. All right, let me get up and do this. It's
Mhm.
just that extra push because we always need those little extra pushes in
Yeah,
any
your
way we can get them.
accountability buddy,
Yep.
except yours is like your platform is your
Right.
accountability buddy, and they be on your ass.
Oh man, they'll bring it up. They'll be like, I thought you said, all right, all right,
Okay, I just have a few more questions before we move to the next segment.
okay.
And what's your take on cheat days or treating yourself on those? We were talking about holidays and everything, but I'm assuming you have some sort of cheat day or something where
Mhm.
you kind of let your hair down. Do you think they help or hinder your progress?
For me, cheat day is a risky business for me because I'm greedy.
Okay.
And so I know this about myself. I know like if I like something, one thing about me, I'm gonna finish all my food. I'm gonna finish the plate. If I like something, I'm gonna keep getting it over and over again. I'm seconds McGee, um, and so I'm very like scared of cheat days because it'd be good, man. It'd be like, let's say I have a cheat day where I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to Crumble Cookie tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna go to Crumble Cookie, right? I love cookies. And so I'll sit there and get like maybe two cookies, whatever, the big ones, the big joints. And I'll finish them cookies out and be like, man. So now, I done hit that crack pipe. And so now I'm like, man, I might have to go back tomorrow, man. And so I'm
Full
very
blown
like
domino
scared.
effect.
Man, I'm scared of cheat days for that reason because it's like, woo, man, I want to go back. I want another taste. And so I'm always like careful when I
Mhm.
tread in those waters. Now my cheat days primarily consist of if I go to a certain city and there's a place that has something that I love, I'll be like, all right, I'm in Chicago, here we go. And I just might make that the whole trip, the whole weekend or whatever, and then go back to normal. But I'm scared of cheat days though. But I,
What's
I
your
could,
favorite cheat day thing in Chicago then? If you did cheat, what would it be? Because you from there.
yeah, the
Is it
pizza,
something you miss?
the pizza,
The pizza?
yeah, the pizza. Like every time I go to Chicago, I get like some regular pizza. Like it's vegetarian, of course, but it's cheese, and
Mm-hmm.
so
And bread. Do you eat gluten?
I eat bread. I cut way back on my bread consumption, but I
Okay.
still have it every now and then.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll get pizza. Like I might get like one pizza for that week. Let's say I'm in Chicago for the weekend. I might get pizza once. But
Okay.
it'd be a whole pizza.
Oh, it's not like slices. It's like a pie.
In New York, I'll get a slice. In Chicago, I'll be like, let me get a medium thin crust and then murder it.
Okay. And
Hmm.
then go back the next day because now it's the domino effect and everything is off track until you leave.
You know what? I might be able to do. I remember one time I went to Chicago like a couple years ago. I just got like a Connie's pizza and that was it for the whole weekend. I just
Oh,
had that.
good.
Yeah, yeah. So it really depends,
Okay, so you
bro.
got a little self control.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like my self control is a lot better than it was in the past,
Okay.
but I
And how
still
long do you
fear.
think it took you to get under control?
Really in that 2003 2004 area was monumental for me in my self-control, how I looked at food, how I viewed it. I was more knowledgeable about caloric intake and fat, saturated fat and sugar. So that changed my whole perspective on how I look at food now. And so now since then I've had moments to where I've gone up in weight and going back down, going up, and but I can always get back on track and then bring it back down. It gave me the tools to know how to bring the reins in and slim it back down and dial it down. So I feel like in that era of 2003 when I went to Terra Rosa, that was the main thing because it changed my whole outlook on food.
That's awesome. So,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to someone looking to make a lifestyle change, especially if they feel overwhelmed by all the options, advice out there, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's something you dealt with mentally that you can give them advice on as well. What type of advice would you give someone? Because this is the top of the year.
Yeah,
It'd be the top of the year where it's like new year, new me.
yeah.
Everybody jumping on the bandwagon. So, what advice would you give to those people just trying to get that going?
My main advice is you gotta want it for you. You gotta do what works for you too, because everybody got their 2 cent now. Everybody got their 2 cent. Everybody's a nutritionist. Everybody's a medical doctor. Everybody got their 7 cents to give you, and so you got to do what works for you. You got to know your body, know what you can and can't handle, know what you can and can't take. You got to know your limits. You got to know who who to distance yourself from and who's gonna help you. And that's the main thing because everybody got something to say about how you doing it. And
Yep.
so if you're very impressionable in that regard, you kind of just have to be low key in what you're doing as to not get discouraged by other people chiming in. And so you gotta want it. And so for me, like, I'm very like strong willed. So if I want to do something, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do that too, regardless of what y'all talking about over here. I'll be like, yeah, it's great. Watch out. And so for me, unless I'm looking for tips or something like that, but if I'm not, it's just like, all right, when I went vegetarian in 2017, people always had something to say. Even now, people always got something to say. Like when I bring it up, I got to hear their story. Like, I'm vegetarian. Oh, that couldn't be me because blah blah blah. And I'm like, I didn't ask you.
Yep.
You
Did
know,
you go vegetarian because of your weight? Or did you just
no,
go vegetarian because of something else?
it was the animals. It was. I've always felt sorry for animals, honestly.
Oh.
Um, uh, I'm an animal guy, so I gave up pork in '91 because I almost converted to Islam. And so I
Mm.
got rid of pork then, but I never went back. And so I was already off pork, but I was like, man, I think I want to go vegetarian, but I can't give up that chicken though, man. I can't give up this. I always told myself that. And so this was like years, right? And so January 2017, because I already knew that I wouldn't be able to kill an animal myself if I had to eat it.
Mhm.
Like I already knew that about I couldn't just shoot a deer and then chop it up and eat it, grab a chicken. I couldn't do that. I know that
Mm.
about myself. I would feel bad. And so I just felt like a coward kind of because I can go to the grocery store after all the dirty work has been done and get me a slab or give me some fish fillets or some chicken breasts or whatever.
Steak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Getting the turkey breast. But and then I would have moments where I was thinking about what I was eating. I'm thinking about I would eat a piece of chicken and just be looking at it and just being like, man, this was walking around and just sometimes I would just get in my own head about it and just be like, oh, turned off. So fast forward, 2017 January. I don't know, you know Meg Scoop?
Mm-hmm.
So Meg Scoop, she was always doing something. She was always like, I'm not eating this for this long. I'm not doing this for this. And so at that time, I was like, yo, Meg, what you doing now? And she was like, I'm not eating meat until Valentine's Day.
Oh wow.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it with you. And so, and I like that I told her that because it was like it was somebody that's gonna hold me
Accountability.
accountability. And
Yep.
so I did that, never went back.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's all it took.
So it just took having someone holding you accountable in order for you to make that actual change.
Yeah,
So
it
that's
was,
kind of your advice to people where as long as finds if they're looking for that first step and maybe they keep going back and forth,
yeah,
maybe it's just having someone that they will actually listen to and not cuss out.
mhm, yeah,
To hold them accountable because sometimes you have people you be like I'm sick of this accountability.
right, right.
But maybe that is your message to people because that's exactly what you did. Everything keeps coming back to that accountability for you.
Because
Oh, good.
it was like, all right, man, you know what? I'm gonna do it with you. And then I far surpassed that Valentine's Day, but it was like, because I could have went vegetarian, like but I was always in my own head about what I couldn't do. And in actuality, I could do it because
Mm-hmm.
once I did it, it was easy for me. It was easy for me to give up meat, and so yeah, and so never looked back since then.
I went vegan and it wasn't difficult for me to do it because I was sick of chicken at
Yeah,
the time. I
yeah.
just didn't, I was like, I'm sick of chicken.
Hmm.
I just literally didn't like the taste of it anymore. And I had never, not, I'm from Michigan,
Right.
that's all we eating. So,
Yeah.
so that, I was definitely like, oh, this is weird. I don't like the taste anymore.
Yeah.
So it was easy because when I was having I was having a lot of pains and stuff in my side, and
Hmm.
there are different things. And one of my friends, I talk about this too in season 1 for people listening and watching, but one of my friends, she had a brain tumor, and
Mm.
she told me, hey, you know what? Why don't you try going vegan?
Hmm.
And that's actually why I went vegan
Okay.
because she told me when she had her brain tumor, they made her go vegan in order to heal. So
Wow.
because that meat and I think it's like the hormones primarily, just because we're in America and the hormones are horrible in all the food.
Right.
I believe that was the main reason, but it was feeding the tumors.
Wow.
So, yes, and her telling me that, and at that time, I
Hmm.
tried it and it made the pain stop.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so that's how I was vegan for so long because of that. So
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of accountability and also just information because when she said that, I was kind of like, you know what? And it took about 30 days in order to get into that new habit.
Hmm.
And I believe that's like a normal thing where it takes about 30 days to create a new habit,
Right.
to be consistent at it. And
Hmm.
it's a lot easier. It's easier said than done,
For sure.
but that's definitely one of those things.
Hmm. Because the hardest part for me was getting rid of cheese and eggs. Like that was the slower dip off. Even though I'm not 100% vegan, it's rare that I have like cheese and eggs now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so compared to what I was doing, like right at that time, right before I did the vegetarian thing, I was eating a lot of turkey and eggs. Like I would have
Oh.
egg whites. I was making ground turkey, that extra lean ground turkey all the
Mm-hmm.
time, and salmon. Those are like
Mm.
my last, bastions of meat during that time. And then it was like, all right, I'm because that was another thing back in 2003. They told me to cut back on my red meat consumption, and so I had already scaled back on the steaks and the, you know what I mean. And so pretty much I would have like carne asada tacos. That would be the gist or the bulk of my red meat consumption after that. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, great. Well, we'll talk speak since we're talking about a lot of food now. We'll move on to the cooking segment.
yeah.
Let's get into that. This segment is called There's Another Way to Do That, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. So for season 2, I'm modifying my guest's favorite dish. But Tony, please tell me a little bit about, tell me a few of your favorite dishes.
Oh man. So my favorite genre of food is breakfast. It's always been like when I was a kid, I used to love lasagna because I love Garfield the cat, and that was like his favorite thing to eat.
It was.
Man, lasagna. And so I love lasagna growing up. I love shrimp growing up, like fried shrimp. And then I would switch over, and then I started loving like tacos. But through all of that, breakfast was always the most exciting meal for me. Um, those days when my mom would be like, "We having breakfast for dinner," I'd be like, "Man, let's go, man! Breakfast for dinner." And so breakfast, whether it be French toast, pancakes, waffles, the eggs, the sausage links, the bacon, and then like later on, like you get to the home fries or the potatoes or the hash browns. And then like I remember one time we were hooked on like salmon croquettes, eggs, and grits as a combo. Me and my boys was making that, and like so the breakfast genre is always like number one for
That's
me.
your number one.
That's my number one.
So Tony told me about this. He told me that he told me breakfast was one of his favorite dishes. And as soon as he said that, I knew I wanted to make him some gluten-free pancakes with sunflower butter.
Oh.
And we're going to top that with some nuts and everything. So I do want to ask you a few questions about this. So
Okay.
now that you know I'm going to make you some gluten-free sunflower butter pancakes.
Yeah.
You told me already you do eat gluten.
Yes. Yeah. I don't make it a point to be gluten free. Um, so it's just because sometimes I'll get like the gluten free option, and I notice the difference in taste. I'll be
Yeah.
like,
You know, then what do they do wrong with the gluten-free option? You're like, something's not
I
right.
can notice it, man. It's just like, it's not like. Are you familiar with Nature's Bakery fig bars?
No, I don't like figs though.
Oh man. Well, they don't just do figs. They do blueberry. They do fig, blueberry, apple. They got different flavors.
Yes.
So um, they're these bars. The square how fig
Yeah,
bars
they
look.
have the little fruit in the middle.
Man, and so they got a gluten free version, and I just be like, let me get the regular shit back up in you. So yeah, so I'm not gluten free. Because I have what's it called often Seitan.
Okay,
So yeah,
okay.
I have that every now and then, and
And
that's
that has wheat in it.
that's like the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
gluten. It's like a gluten based
Yeah.
whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have it very often because the
Yeah.
taste is just cool. But I do have it.
It is a common dish, like especially for people that are vegetarian
Hmm.
or vegan. It tends to be in a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
why do you love pancakes so much?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you, man. Like it's just when it comes to biscuits and bread, I'm a fan of bread in general. So like when you get like you know those fresh loaves of bread they be having like in the grocery aisle where they just got a fresh that fresh loaf be sitting there on the side. You already in line. You done. You got all your items. That bread be sitting over there freshly baked. Aromas just be right up in your nostrils. You be like, and then you ever feel the bag and it be like warm and soft. I be like, bread, biscuits. I'm a biscuit head too. Like it's a combination of the texture, the taste, it's the saltiness, it's the warmth, it's the butteriness. It's just a combination of all those things. So with pancake batter and like same with waffles too, it's like once you get that combination of like that warm, salty, and not like overly salty, but it's just like a savory taste. It's just fire. And so when you get those pancakes with the crispy edges, whoo! I don't know what it is, man. It's just
It hit.
fire.
It's hitting.
Man, it's hidden. This when you got a crispy edge pancake, it's over.
So, what are some of your favorite toppings?
I've never been a big topping person when it came to my pancakes. I just like butter and syrup. Occasionally I'll do like I like when I do have a blueberry pancake, I like for the blueberries to be infused into the batter already rather than just a topping. So like when I make it myself, I would mash the blueberries into the batter so it's just all mixed together. Um, and so yeah, I've never really been a big topping person. Like I would just be like, all I need is that butter and then that syrup
And the crispy edges.
and the crispy edges. We off to the races.
And how do you think I will do creating this version that I can eat?
Right. I think so. You're using sunflower butter.
I am using a gluten-free flour,
Uh
and
huh.
then I'm topping it with sunflower butter as if it's butter, because I
What
can't
you?
eat butter.
Oh, okay. So what are you cooking? What are you cooking the pancake with on the skillet?
Do you mean like it's pancake mix, and I'll be using oil,
Also, just regular oil. What kind of oil?
olive oil, and
Okay.
maybe a touch of coconut oil.
That coconut oil gonna come
Just a
back up in.
touch. I know you're going to call me out on it.
You gonna bring that coconut oil back? Okay.
Had high cholesterol, no. Look, for the crispy edges, look.
The crispy edges, and that's what I was getting at. So those oils will they heat up enough to get the crispy edges going?
Yeah, we shall see, right?
And then if
Well,
you got the crispy edges, you off to the races.
we'll see how I do.
Yeah, you're off to the races on that, man. Whew.
We'll be back with Shondalia's Inside Scoop after this month's There's Another Way to Do That cooking segment. It's There's Another Way to Do That, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. This year, we're basing my recipes off my guests, so let's get into it. Tony Baker loves breakfast. I love breakfast, so it was a no-brainer when he said he loved pancakes to make him gluten-free sunflower butter pancakes. 3/4 of milk. Why am I opening this up? It smells good. It's the vanilla. So let's do it. And bam, you see these crispy edges? Look at that. Womp, womp. Top it. Oop. I'm gonna eat that. We ain't wasting that. Look at that crunch. It's so good. It almost reminds you of funnel cake. This is Shondalia's Inside Scoop, where my life is a trivia question. So, can you guess what's really real about me? We gonna see if Tony can do that. All right, so the game is simple. I'll ask him a few questions about my life in regards to health and wellness, and he'll tell me how well he knows me based on what he answers. So let's get into that. Okay, Tony. So the first question is, which things are part of my restrictions? A, gluten. B, dairy. C, beans. D, all of the above.
I'm going to say, because I know gluten is one for sure. With beans, though, I'm like, beans? I'm going to go all of the above.
You are correct, Tony. It is all the above. He's starting out the gate real good, people.
Yeah.
He know his girl.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. I eat a lot of vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Am I actually a vegan? Yes or no?
No.
You are correct.
Yeah.
We got 2 for 2. Hey!
Yeah.
I am not a vegan. A lot of people think I'm a vegan. I used to be a vegan, and I was a vegan for maybe about 6 years or so, but I am not a vegan, people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. And one more question, Tony.
Okay.
You're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
So, which of the following conditions did I have? A, hyperthyroidism. B, temporary blindness. C, Crohn's disease. D, hypertension.
I feel like you told me about you going blind.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
He got 3 for 3.
Let's go,
Hey! I did go temporarily blind. I have an eye condition called EBMD, people, for the people that don't know. And I went blind 2 or 3 times within a year.
That's crazy.
Yes. They call it sloughing, and my cornea sloughed right on off.
That's
Tony,
crazy.
you have won the game. You get bragging rights, baby. To knowing your girl and her health and wellness so well. I'm so proud of you. I was like, I don't know if Tony gonna get this.
The fact that we're so excited about your temporary blindness is crazy. We're like, yeah. He was blind, y'all.
I was, and it was crazy. Like, side note, I was like doing work and everything. I had on my sunglasses, and I was just like, oh yeah, I just had LASIK, and but I literally couldn't see out of one of my eyes.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts. I'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah, man.
So Tony was ready to take a bite out of my story. So coming up next, we gonna wrap this thing up. I hope that this episode will help any of you trying to start this year off with a bang, making sure you don't just change your diet, but you change your lifestyle. And just like Tony said, you can do that with accountability. Find that accountability buddy that you won't kill. And even if you are going to kill each other, you stay accountable to killing each other until you get everything right. Okay? And like I always say, take care of your body so it can take care of you, or you're going to be dealing with a lot of shit. Tony, tell these people where they can find you, what you have coming up to 2025. What's going on?
They can find me at TonyBakerComedy.com, Tony Baker Comedy on Instagram, Tony Baker Comedy on YouTube. They can check me out on the Verbal Cardio Podcast, the Ball Brothers Podcast. In 2025, I'm back on tour. The first half of the year, from January all the way through the summer, I'll be on tour. I'll be in Pleasanton, Sacramento, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, I already said Atlanta, Baltimore, working on Austin, Tampa, Miami. So check out my tour dates. And the fall and winter time, it'll be a Ball Brothers tour. So maybe September through December, you can catch me and Kev on stage on tour. So, and is there anything else?
That's a lot right there. Yeah. You have everything going on.
Yeah.
You are everywhere. You're like, I'm basically around the entire country. So just literally go to my site, go to my Instagram, and you will find a date where I am. He is everywhere, so make sure you check out my guy, okay? This has been I Can't Eat Shit podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you all for supporting me. If you like what you saw and or heard today, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. I Can't Eat Shit podcast on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcast. If you watch me, there's bonus material. There's another way to do that. My full cooking segment where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. They're oh so good, so make sure you check them out. And you can also catch me on Instagram at I Can't Eat Shit Podcast or at Shondalia White. Check out some of my updates. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. I Can't Eat Shit! I Can't Eat Shit podcast is not a replacement for a medical professional. If you need help, seek out a trained medical professional, nutritionist, or therapist to help you with your specific needs.